The night before my wedding should have been calm, filled with laughter, nerves, maybe a toast with friends. Instead, the air feels too still, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for something to break. "Ethan, you look like you're about to faint," Lena laughed earlier at dinner. "Just pre-wedding jitters," I told her, hiding the weight in my chest. "You'll survive," she teased, brushing her fingers across my hand. "Tomorrow everything changes." "Yeah," I smiled. "Forever." That word felt real then. Forever. Now, hours later, I'm sitting alone in the living room, our wedding invitations scattered on the coffee table. Her handwriting, "Lena and Ethan forever begins here," looks almost mocking under the lamp's yellow glow. I glance at the clock. 1:47 p.m. She said she was stepping out for a call with her maid of honor. I hear her voice through the thin wall. Soft, low. "Daniel, I can't talk long." My stomach drops. "Daniel, I know that name." Her ex, the one she swore she'd erased from her life. I freeze. Every heartbeat sounds like thunder in my ears. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing," she whispers. "What?" My breath catches. "I mean, Ethan's good, he's kind. But he's not you." The words slice through me like glass. I stumble backward, my hand covering my mouth. I want to unhear it. "Pretend it's a dream. I can't do this anymore," she says. "I deserve someone stronger." The phone clicks. Silence. Then footsteps. I barely manage to step back before she opens the door. "Ethan?" Her eyes widen. "You're still awake?" "Yeah," I say quietly. "Heard you talking to someone," she blinks. Just Sophia." Last-minute details, I laugh hollow. "You sure?" Because it didn't sound like Sophia. Her expression hardens. "You were eavesdropping?" "I was waiting for my fiancé the night before our wedding," I reply. Didn't expect to hear her confessing to another man. Lena exhales sharply, rubbing her temples. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it, Lena?" "Because I just heard you say you don't know if I'm the right one." "You always twist things." "Twist?" I take a step closer. 5 years, Lena. 5 years of me helping you through med school, covering bills, cheering for you when you doubted yourself, and you think I'm twisting things? She looks away. "I didn't ask you to do all that." "No, you didn't," I whisper. "I did it because I loved you." The room feels smaller, the air heavier. My voice cracks, but I can't stop. "I gave up my promotion so you could move closer to campus. I worked nights so you could study in peace. And the whole time I thought we were building something real." Tears well in her eyes, but they don't soften her voice. "You make it sound like I owe you forever because you sacrificed. That's not what It is," she snaps. "You want me to be grateful, to stay because of everything you did. But Ethan, I can't breathe in this anymore." I stare at her, numb. "So this is it? After everything?" Her shoulders slump. "I tried to love you the way you love me. I really did. And Daniel?" Silence. Her eyes flicker, and I already know. "He called a few days ago," she murmurs. "I didn't plan it. I just realized what I've been missing." "What you've been missing," I repeat, laughing bitterly. "So what was I, Lena? A placeholder?" "No," she says softly. "You were safe." The word safe stings worse than anything. I sink onto the couch, my legs weak. "We're supposed to get married in 10 hours. "I know," she whispers. "Then why are you still here?" She hesitates, eyes glistening. "Because part of me still wanted to believe I could go through with it." "Part of you," I echo. "And the other part?" "The other part already let go." Her words hang there, cruel in their honesty. "Lena," I say, my throat burning. "If you walk out that door tonight, there's no coming back." She nods. "I know." The silence between us feels endless. Finally, she steps closer, removes the engagement ring from her finger and places it on the table. "I'm sorry, Ethan." I stare at the ring, unable to move. "Sorry?" My voice breaks. "You just tore my life apart, and all you can say is sorry." She flinches. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Then why did you?" "Because staying would have hurt us both even more." The front door opens. Cold air rushes in. Her perfume lingers as she walks out, her footsteps fading down the hall. I sit there, staring at the ring glinting in the dim light. My hands tremble, but no tears come. Just emptiness. 5 years. 5 years of love, plans, sacrifices, all ending in a midnight whisper. I pick up the ring, feel its weight in my palm. It feels heavier than it should, like it's carrying everything I lost tonight. Outside, rain begins to fall, tapping softly against the window. I listen to it for a long time, until the sound becomes the only thing keeping me from breaking completely. Tomorrow was supposed to be forever. Now it's just another day I'll have to survive. The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Buzz. Pause. Buzz again. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound like it belonged to someone else's life. Ethan. "You need to answer," my brother shouted from outside my door. "I don't owe anyone an explanation," I muttered. "It's chaos out here. Mom's crying, guests are calling, what do I tell them?" "Tell them the bride changed her mind," I said flatly. "That should be enough." He went silent for a moment. "You okay?" "No," I heard him sigh and walk away. The phone buzzed again. Messages poured in. What happened? "Are you guys okay? I saw something on Facebook. Is it true?" My stomach twisted. I opened one text from a mutual friend. "Bro, I just saw Lena's story." "What the hell?" Against my better judgment, I opened Instagram. Her account was gone. But the damage was everywhere. Screenshots, whispers, pity-filled comments. "Runaway bride, cold feet, another man." I tossed my phone across the room. It hit the wall, clattered to the floor, and kept vibrating like it refused to let me forget. I dragged myself out of bed. The tuxedo hung on the door untouched. White shirt. Black jacket. It felt like a ghost of a life that never happened. The mirror caught my reflection. Red eyes, hollow face. I almost didn't recognize the man staring back. A knock came again, gentler this time. "Ethan?" Mom's voice trembled. "Please open the door, sweetheart." I hesitated, then cracked it open. She stood there, eyes swollen from crying. "Everyone's been asking, what should we tell them?" "Tell them it's over." "But honey, it's over," I repeated, sharper this time. "There's nothing left to explain." She reached for my hand. "You don't have to face this alone." "I already am," I said, pulling away. Her lip quivered. "At least eat something." "I'm not hungry." "Ethan, please." "Mom," I said softly. "I just need to be left alone." She nodded, tears spilling, and left the tray on the table before closing the door. Silence again. The house felt too big, too full of reminders. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway. The half-packed honeymoon bag sat by the bed. 2 tickets to Bali lay inside, mocking me. My brother barged in later. "You can't just lock yourself away forever? Watch me. She's not worth it, man." "I know," I said. "But knowing doesn't help," he frowned. "You should come out, talk to people." Everyone's gossiping," I cut him off. "They don't care. They just want a story." He stared at me for a long moment. "Then write your own. Leave this mess behind." I wanted to tell him I couldn't. That everything I'd built, every plan, every version of myself existed with her in it. Without her, I didn't know who I was supposed to be. But instead, I said nothing. He sighed. "You're gonna waste yourself here." "Maybe that's the point." He shook his head and walked out. The door clicked shut. By evening, the sky turned gray, rain pressing against the windows. I sat on the floor surrounded by photos, our engagement shoot, our vacations, her smile. All lies now. In one picture, we were laughing under fairy lights, her hand on my chest. She'd written on the back, "My forever." Forever lasted 5 years and ended with a whisper. I picked up the lighter from the coffee table. My hand shook as I flicked it on. The flame danced, small and warm, too alive for the way I felt inside. "I'm sorry," I whispered to the photographs. "I believed in you." The first picture caught fire, curling at the edges. Her face blurred, then vanished into ash. One by one, I fed the rest to the flame until nothing but blackened scraps remained. Smoke filled the room. It smelled like endings. The phone buzzed again. This time I didn't even look. Outside, thunder rolled. I grabbed my jacket, stepped over the ashes, and opened the door. Mom's voice echoed faintly from the living room. "Ethan, where are you going?" "Anywhere but here." She rushed toward me. "Please don't do this." "Don't let her destroy you." "She already did," I said quietly. My brother appeared behind her, his eyes wide. "At least tell us where—" "I don't know," I interrupted. "And that's the point." The rain hit my face the moment I stepped outside. Cold, cleansing, real. The car door creaked as I slid in. The world outside blurred in the downpour. My fingers tightened on the steering wheel. I looked once at the house, at the life I was leaving behind, then started the engine. "I'll never love again," I said under my breath. "Not after this." The rain swallowed the sound as I drove away. A year. That's how long it's been since I drove away from everything I knew. The ocean became my only witness. It didn't ask questions. It just kept moving, like it knew how to survive loss. People here know me as Eli, a quiet architect who works odd hours, drinks too much coffee, and keeps to himself. It's easier to be someone else when your old name feels like a scar. I rented a small place by the shore. White walls, leaky roof, constant wind. The first night, the silence was so loud I almost turned back. But I stayed. One morning, while sketching at the cafe, someone tapped my shoulder. "Hey, stranger. You're the guy who's been stealing my table." I turned to see her, Claire. Sunlight in human form, blonde hair tied messily, pencil behind her ear, coffee in both hands. "Didn't know it was yours," I said. "It's not. But you always sit here, so I figured there must be something magical about this spot." "Just the view," she smiled. "Or maybe the loneliness." Her words hit closer than she knew. She sat down anyway. "I'm Claire, local designer." "And you're?" "Eli," I said. The lie came easily now. "Eli the architect," she repeated, studying my sketches. "You're good. Not just technical, emotional. Like you've seen too much?" "Maybe I have." She tilted her head. "Want to talk about it?" "No." "Fair enough," she said lightly. "But you will eventually. People like you always do." I laughed softly. "People like me?" "Haunted ones. That was our first conversation." Simple, strange, disarming. Weeks passed, and she kept showing up. At the cafe, the pier, the grocery store, always with a smile that made the silence less unbearable. One evening, we were walking by the water. She kicked off her shoes, let the waves touch her feet. "You ever wonder if the ocean keeps secrets?" she asked. "All the time." "Maybe that's why you like it here," she said. "You both hide things." "Maybe," she looked at me. "Who did you lose?" My chest tightened. I hadn't expected her to ask it so directly. "Someone who made me believe in forever," I said quietly. "Did she die?" "In a way." Claire didn't press further. She just nodded, eyes soft. Sometimes losing someone alive hurts more. That was the first night I didn't feel like running. We started working together soon after. Small projects, beach houses, restorations. She handled interiors, I did the structures. She hummed while she worked, always barefoot, always humming. "You should smile more," she said one afternoon. "Why?" "Because it looks good on you." "I forgot how," I admitted. "Then I'll remind you." She did. Slowly. Gently. Sometimes, she'd talk about her dreams, opening her own studio, designing spaces that felt like emotions you could walk into. I'd listen, sketching while she spoke. "You ever think about going back home?" she asked once. "No home to go back to." "Everyone has a place," she said. "Not everyone gets to stay in it." She frowned. "You talk like a man serving a sentence." "Maybe I am." "Then you need parole," she smiled. Her lightness irritated me sometimes. Too hopeful, too alive, but it was also the only thing that pulled me out of the fog. One night, we sat on the rocks watching the sunset bleed into the horizon. "Do you ever miss her?" she asked softly. "Every day. And yet you're still here." "I don't know why." "I do," she said, "because part of you still wants to live." I didn't answer. The wind carried her words into the waves, and for the first time in a year I let myself breathe. Days turned into months. The work grew, the silence softened. I started sleeping through the night again. I started drawing for pleasure, not distraction. Still, there were moments, quiet, sharp moments, when her face returned in memory, and I'd crumble again. Claire never asked, never pushed. She just sat nearby, sketching her own dreams while I battled mine. "You ever think pain can be beautiful?" she asked one afternoon. "Only when it ends." "Maybe beauty is what comes after," she said, "like new sunlight after a storm." I looked at her then, really looked, and something inside me shifted. Not love, not yet, but something that felt dangerously close to it. When she caught me staring, she grinned. "What? Nothing," I said. "Just thank you." "For what?" "For making silence sound like peace," she blushed. "Don't thank me yet. I'm just getting started." That night, I sat at my desk, drawing again. Not her, not the past, just a small house by the sea full of light. It wasn't real, not yet, but maybe it could be. For the first time in a year, the future didn't feel like a punishment. It felt like a possibility. It started with a headline. I was sitting at the cafe, sketching by the window, when Claire's voice cut through the sound of the waves. "Eli, you might want to see this." I looked up. Her phone trembled slightly in her hand. "What is it?" She slid it across the table. The screen glowed with black letters against white. Architectural firm Grant and Reeves under investigation for fraud and intellectual theft. My stomach turned. Reeves. Daniel Reeves. The name hit like a punch I should have seen coming. "Eli?" Claire asked carefully. "You okay?" I couldn't breathe. My fingers tightened around the coffee cup until it cracked slightly in my grip. "Yeah," I said, though my voice didn't sound like mine. "Just surprised," she frowned. "You know them?" "Used to." Her eyes softened. "How close?" I stared out the window, watching the tide roll in. Close enough to remember how it all burned. She didn't press. But I could feel her gaze, warm and patient, waiting for truth. I took a long breath. I helped start that firm. Every blueprint, every concept, half of them were mine. And now they're stealing, lying, pretending they built everything I did. Her voice dropped. "Was he the one you lost?" "No," I said quietly. "He was the one who took what I lost." She hesitated. "And the woman?" I looked at her then. "She left with him." The air between us grew heavier. I pushed the phone back toward her. "Turn it off. Eli, please." She sighed, locking the screen. "You're shaking." "I'm fine." "No, you're not." She reached across the table, her hand covering mine. "You don't have to pretend with me." Her touch steadied me, but the storm inside didn't stop. The article kept flashing in my mind. Fraud, theft, investigation. Words that tasted like poetic justice. For a year, I'd buried that part of myself. Ethan, the man who built skyscrapers and dreams. But the ghost of him had just woken up. That night, I couldn't sleep. The ocean roared louder than usual, as if it knew what was coming. I walked along the shore until dawn, replaying everything I'd left behind. Daniel's smug grin the day he bought my designs. Lena's empty eyes when she said she deserved someone stronger. Mr. Grant's handshake when he told me, "It's business, son, not betrayal. They'd built their empire on my bones, and now it was cracking." The next morning, Claire found me outside the workshop, a half-finished model sitting in front of me. "You didn't sleep," she said softly. I couldn't. She handed me coffee. "Still thinking about the article?" Trying not to. She leaned against the table, watching me. "You could go back, you know. Face it. Face what? Whatever's still haunting you. I'm not looking for revenge. Did I say you were?" I smiled faintly. "You're getting good at reading me." "Someone has to," she said, nudging my shoulder. "Otherwise you'll drown in silence." I looked at her, the morning sun catching in her hair. "You really think going back fixes anything?" "Maybe not, but running forever doesn't either." Her words lingered long after she left. Later that day, I sat by the window again, staring at the same spot where she'd shown me the headline. I pulled out my old sketchbook, the one I hadn't opened in a year. On the first page, in faded ink, was the design that started everything. My design. My signature still on the bottom corner. I traced the lines with my thumb, anger and ache mixing in my chest. Claire's voice echoed in my head. "Face it." That night, I finally called my brother. His voice cracked through the static. "Ethan? Holy hell, where the hell have you been?" "Somewhere quiet. You vanished for a year." "I needed to. Mom thought you were dead." "I almost was," I muttered. He paused. "Why now? Why are you calling?" "I saw the news," he sighed. "Yeah, it's bad. Grant's under fire. Daniel's been dodging reporters. Karma's biting them hard." "Good. Ethan," he said carefully. "You're not thinking of doing something stupid, right?" "No, just something necessary." "You really want to go back to that mess?" "I have to." "Why?" After everything they did, because if I don't, they still own the story. There was silence. Then his voice softened. You sound different. I am. When I hung up, I realized my hands weren't shaking anymore. The next morning, I told Claire. She was setting up blueprints when I walked in. I'm leaving, I said. She froze. Leaving where? The city. Her eyes searched mine. For how long? I don't know. She folded her arms. You said you weren't after revenge. I'm not. I'm after peace. And if you don't find it, then I'll know I tried. She took a deep breath. Will you come back? I hesitated. If there's a reason to. Her smile was small but real. Then I'll make sure there is. I didn't know how to respond. So I just said, thank you for reminding me who I was. You're not who you were, she said gently. You're better now. Just don't forget it when you see them. As I packed that night, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Same eyes, same scars, but something in them had changed. Not rage, not grief, just resolve. The world that broke me was calling again. This time I was ready to answer. The city hadn't changed. Same skyline, same noise, same chaos pretending to be progress. But I wasn't the same man driving into it. When I left, I was running from ghosts. Now I was coming back to bury them. I parked across from the glass tower that used to hold my dreams. Grant and Reeves. The logo was half peeled off, letters missing like broken teeth. Fitting. Inside the lobby, the receptionist didn't recognize me. That was good. I wasn't here for nostalgia. I was here for business. My meeting was with Henry Cole. I'd met him years ago, back when I still believed talent alone could change the world. He was one of the few who saw potential in me before Daniel stole it. Mr. Cole will see you now, the assistant said. Henry's office was all light and glass, overlooking the river. He stood as I entered, smile wide, handshake firm. Ethan Walker, I was beginning to think you'd fallen off the map. Maybe I did, I said. But maps can be redrawn, he laughed. Still poetic, I see. Sit down. I took the seat across from him. He studied me for a moment. You look different. Older, sharper. Life's a good teacher, or a cruel one. Both, I said. He nodded slowly. I heard what happened at Grant and Reeves. Shame. That firm had potential until Daniel ran it into the ground. Daniel always believed the ground was optional, I said dryly. Henry chuckled. And now the firm's bleeding. Half their clients pulled out. The investigations made them toxic. Word is they're looking to sell. I leaned forward. That's why I'm here, his brows lifted. To buy them? To reclaim what's mine. He tilted his head. You're serious? I didn't come back for sentiment, I said. I came back to rebuild, properly this time. Henry steepled his fingers. You have a plan? I always have a plan. Funding? That's where you come in. He smiled faintly. Go on. I pulled a folder from my bag, sketches, proposals, projections. The designs were clean, minimal, functional, everything I'd learned to value in the silence of the coast. He flipped through the pages. Impressive. You always had vision, Ethan, but vision needs capital. I'm not asking for charity, I said. I'm offering partnership. In what? In something better than what we built before. A firm that values integrity over ego. He looked up. And you think you can erase the past? No, I said. But I can outgrow it. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he leaned back, studying me with a kind of quiet respect. You remind me of someone. Who's that? The man you used to be before the city broke him. He didn't die, I said. He just learned to stop trusting the wrong people. Henry smiled. Then let's talk terms. We went back and forth for nearly an hour. Percentages, shares, timelines. He was sharp, deliberate, but he listened. Finally, he asked the question I'd been waiting for. Why Grant and Reeves? I paused. Because my name was buried there. And I intend to dig it out. You could start fresh. I am, I said. By ending what started all this. He watched me, his tone softening. You don't sound angry. I'm not. Then what drives you? Peace, I said. And precision. He exhaled slowly. You've changed. Change was the only way to survive. He nodded, tapping the folder. All right, Ethan, let's make it official. I blinked. You're in? I'd be a fool not to be. He extended his hand. On one condition, you let me handle the investors. You focus on the work. Agreed. Our hands met in a firm shake, steady, confident. For the first time in years, I felt the weight lift from my chest. Henry smiled. You know, they'll hate you for this. Daniel, grant all of them. Let them, I said. They created me, he laughed. That sounds almost biblical. More like architectural, I replied. Sometimes you have to demolish the old structure before you can build something worth living in. He stood, walking me to the elevator. You'll need an announcement. A name. I already have one. Let me guess. Something with legacy? No, I said. Something with truth, he grinned. Welcome back, Ethan Walker. The elevator doors closed, and for a moment, my reflection stared back. Same eyes, different fire. As I stepped outside, the city lights glimmered against the glass towers. A year ago, they'd blinded me. Tonight, they bowed quietly in reflection. Claire's voice echoed in my mind. Don't forget who you've become. I hadn't. Every scar, every silence, every sleepless night had shaped this moment. The air smelled of rain and redemption. I walked down the same street where Lena once kissed me, where Daniel once shook my hand, and realized something profound. I didn't hate them anymore. I'd outgrown the pain, outlived the betrayal, and outsmarted the ghosts. By the time I reached my car, my phone buzzed with Henry's text. Welcome to the new beginning. I smiled. For the first time, it didn't feel ironic. As I started the engine, I glanced in the mirror at the skyline, tall, fractured, still standing. Just like me. I'm not the same man she left, I whispered. I'm the man who came back, and this time, I wasn't running. I was rebuilding. The ballroom smelled of money, perfume, and polished hypocrisy. It was my first public appearance in a year, and I could already feel the eyes. Whispers spread like perfume. Is that Ethan Walker? Didn't he vanish? He looks different. They were right. I was different. Henry walked beside me, glass of champagne in hand. You sure about this? Completely, I said. Some ghosts deserve to see the living, he chuckled. You always did have a flair for theatrics. It's not theatrics if it's truth. The orchestra swelled, chandeliers blazing like constellations over the elite. Cameras flashed, conversations hushed, and then I saw them, Lena and Daniel. She stood near the stage, elegant but brittle, like a cracked sculpture holding itself together. Daniel hovered beside her, smile too forced, eyes darting. I could almost taste their discomfort. Henry followed my gaze. Ah, the infamous duo. Formerly infamous, I corrected. Now fading. You going to speak to them? Yes, I set my glass down. It's time. As I crossed the floor, the chatter dimmed. The sound of my footsteps on marble echoed louder than the music. Every face turned. Every whisper sharpened. Lena noticed first. Her lips parted, eyes widening. Daniel's jaw tightened. Ethan, she breathed. You returned, I finished. Yes, it happens. Daniel forced a smirk. Didn't expect to see you here? I could say the same, I replied. Though you look tired, his smile faltered. Running a company does that. Running it into the ground must be exhausting, I said evenly. Lena flinched. You don't have to do this here. I'm just making conversation. I turned slightly, letting the room hear every word. It's been, 2 years since we all stood in the same room? Daniel's tone hardened. You've changed. Growth, I said. Something you might try. Henry appeared at my side, a picture of calm authority. Mr. Reeves, he said pleasantly. Always a pleasure, Daniel stiffened. He knew the name. Everyone did. Lena's voice trembled. You're working with Henry Cole? Partnered, I said. We're building something new. Her eyes darted between us. And you came tonight just to celebrate, I said. To give back. Isn't that what this charity's about? Henry raised his glass. To second chances. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I saw phones lift, flashes blink. Daniel's mask cracked. You're using this for publicity? No, I said quietly. For closure. Lena stepped closer. Ethan, please. Whatever happened built who I am, I cut in. You don't need to apologize. I wasn't good, I said. Then we can skip that part. Her eyes glistened. You don't understand. Daniel, I understand perfectly. I smiled. You both made choices. So did I, Daniel's voice rose. You think you can just come back, act superior, and I don't need to act, I said. That shut him up. The silence that followed was heavy, almost reverent. Lena swallowed hard. You're different. I had time to rebuild, I said. Piece by piece. Was it worth it? I met her eyes. Every moment, Henry leaned in. We should mingle. In a moment, I said. My gaze never left them. Daniel shifted, trying to smile. Well, congratulations on whatever this is. It's good to see you both standing where I used to, I said quietly. The line hit like a blade wrapped in silk. Around us, murmurs swelled, admiration disguised as gossip. Cameras captured the moment, Lena's trembling hand, Daniel's clenched jaw, my calm smile. She whispered, Ethan, please. I shook my head. No need for that. You've already given me what I needed. Daniel's voice cracked. And what's that? Perspective. Henry touched my shoulder. We're done here. Yes, I said. We are. As I turned, I caught a glimpse of Lena's reflection in the mirrored wall. Haunted, fragile, beautiful in defeat. Daniel reached for her, but she pulled away. I walked back through the crowd, each step measured, deliberate. People nodded, whispered, some even smiled. It wasn't revenge I felt, just the quiet satisfaction of balance restored. Henry handed me a fresh glass of champagne. That was poetic. I wasn't aiming for poetry. Then what was that? Closure, I said. Cold, clean closure. He laughed softly. You didn't raise your voice once. I didn't need to. The orchestra changed tempo, something lighter, almost celebratory. I stood near the balcony watching the city lights blur through the glass. Henry joined me. How do you feel? Lighter, I said. As if I've finally stepped out of my own shadow, he nodded. They'll talk about tonight for months. Let them, I said. Stories need endings. I looked down at my reflection in the champagne glass. Calm eyes, steady hands. No trace of the man who'd once begged for understanding. From across the room, I saw Lena watching me, tears glimmering beneath the chandeliers. Daniel stood beside her, lost, angry, small. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. The night air through the open doors felt crisp, honest. I stepped outside, letting the noise fade behind me. The city stretched below, vast and familiar, no longer threatening. Henry followed. Where to now? Forward, I said. He raised his glass. To rebuilding. To rising, I replied. The lights reflected in my glass looked like 1,000 chances waiting to be claimed. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like the man who lost everything. I felt like the man who had taken it all back without raising a single hand. When the news broke, I was sketching by the studio window. Lines, symmetry, calm. Then Claire rushed in, breathless. Ethan, have you seen this? I looked up. What now? She handed me her tablet. The headline screamed, Reeves and Grant under investigation. CEO missing. For a moment, the world went silent. Claire's voice was soft. That's Daniel, right? I nodded slowly. That's Daniel. She sat across from me. Do you want me to turn it off? No, I said. Let it play. The anchor's voice filled the studio. Sources confirm that Victoria Reeves, sister of CEO Daniel Reeves, provided evidence of long-term embezzlement and forged contracts. Claire frowned. His own sister exposed him? Victoria always hated corruption, I said quietly. Looks like she finally stopped protecting him. And Lena? She'll survive, I said. She always does until she doesn't. Claire hesitated. You sound almost sad. Not sad, I murmured. Just remembering what betrayal costs. The footage shifted to Daniel being escorted through a crowd of reporters. His face was pale, eyes wild. I'd seen that look before on myself once. Claire touched my hand. Do you feel anything? Yes, I said. Relief. And maybe a little justice. Her thumb brushed my wrist. Justice isn't revenge, Ethan. I know. I smiled faintly. That's why it feels different. She exhaled. You could call him, No, I cut in. Some bridges need to stay ashes. The tablet buzzed again. This time a photo of Lena, standing outside a luxury apartment, bags at her feet. The headline read, Lena Hayes evicted after CEO scandal. Claire whispered, she's lost everything. She chose her side, I said, The silence stretched between us. Then Claire said softly, "Would you answer if she called?" I looked at her. No. That night, my phone rang 3 times, unknown number, same area code. I didn't pick up. The 4th time, it stopped halfway through the first ring. I stared at the dark screen and whispered, "Goodbye, Lena." The next morning, Claire found me at the drafting table again. "You didn't sleep." "I designed," I said. "That's better," she smiled. "You're impossible." "Maybe," I said. "But I'm productive." She leaned over my shoulder. "What's this?" "A concept for the Coastal Museum project." "It's beautiful," she said. "Soft but strong, like you're finally breathing." I laughed quietly. "That's your influence." "Mine?" "You remind me that rebuilding doesn't mean erasing." Her eyes softened. "You've been carrying ghosts for too long." "Maybe," I said. "But tonight they're quieter." Later that week, Henry called. "He's finished," he said flatly. "Daniel's banned from the board. Victoria took over the remains." "She'll handle it," I said. "Lena tried reaching you through my assistant," Henry added. "I told her you weren't available." "Thank you," I said. She sounded desperate. "I'm sure she did." Henry paused. "You really don't want to hear her out?" "No," I said. "I've already listened once. It cost me everything." After the call, I found Claire watering the small plant by the window. "Henry?" she asked. "Daniel's gone," I said. "Lena too." "It's done," she nodded slowly. "And how does that feel?" "Like watching a storm from inside a house I built myself," she smiled. "That's peace, Ethan. Feels strange, because you've lived in chaos." I leaned against the wall. "Do you think people ever really change?" "Yes," she said. "If they choose to heal instead of hurt." "And me?" "You're already doing it." Her certainty disarmed me. "I still think about it sometimes. About her. About the ring." "Of course you do," she said. "Wounds remember. But healing doesn't erase the scar. It just stops it from bleeding." I stared at her, the quiet weight of her words settling deeper than I expected. "You make it sound simple." "It isn't," she said, smiling. "But it's real." Days passed and the city buzzed with the fall of Daniel Reeves. News clips, articles, interviews, all narrating a story that used to be mine. I watched them once, then never again. One evening, Claire and I walked along the shore. The sky was violet, the water restless. "You know," she said, "the way you look at the ocean, it's like you're listening." "I am," I said. "It reminds me that even broken waves find their way back." She laughed softly. "That's poetic." "Architects are secret poets," I said. "And what's your poem about?" "Rebuilding," I said. "Not revenge." She stopped walking. "You've really let go, haven't you?" "I think so." "Then you're free." We stood there in silence, the sound of waves folding over themselves. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. I let it ring until it stopped. Claire raised an eyebrow. "Still avoiding calls?" "Only the ones that belonged to yesterday," she smiled. "Good." As the tide reached our feet, she said quietly, "You know, healing isn't weakness." "I used to think it was," I admitted. "But maybe strength isn't about holding on, it's about knowing when not to." She slipped her hand into mine. "Then don't let go now." For the first time in years, I didn't. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of salt and possibility. Behind me, the ruins of old pain crumbled quietly, like a collapsing empire no longer worth saving. Ahead, the water shimmered, wide, open, forgiving, and somewhere in the distance, I could almost hear the future calling my name. I was reviewing sketches for the new atrium when the receptionist's voice came through the intercom. "Mr. Walker, there's a visitor asking to see you." "I'm not expecting anyone," I said. "She says her name is Lena Hayes." My pen froze. The air changed, still heavy. "Send her in," I whispered. The door opened slowly, like the past hesitating before entering the present. Lena stepped inside. She looked nothing like the woman I once knew. Her hair, once polished perfection, now fell unevenly around her face. Her eyes, tired, rimmed red, avoided mine. "Hi," she said softly. "Lena." The silence stretched until it became unbearable. She looked around my office, tracing the models and blueprints. "You built all this?" "With help," I said. "Teamwork," she nodded, fingers trembling as she touched the edge of the desk. "You always dreamed of this," I did. I used to believe in your dreams, and then you didn't. Her lips parted. A faint sound caught in her throat. I don't even know where to start. Try the truth, I said. She exhaled shakily. Daniel's gone. Everything's gone. The house, the firm, the people, we lost it all. I read, I said. I'm sorry it ended that way. Her eyes searched mine. You don't mean that? I do, I said. Because I know what destruction feels like. She stepped closer. Ethan, I made a mistake. Which one? All of it, she whispered. Leaving you. Believing him. I thought I was chasing success, but all I did was burn what was real. Her words hung in the air like smoke. Thick, choking, impossible to ignore. You were the best thing I ever had, she said finally. I swallowed hard, but my voice stayed calm. Then why did you destroy it? Her face crumpled. Because I was afraid. You were steady and I wanted more. I thought power would fill the emptiness, but it only made it louder. Fear doesn't justify betrayal, I said quietly. I know, she whispered, and I've lived with that every day. The silence between us was louder than any argument we'd ever had. She glanced at the floor. I came to say sorry, not to fix anything, just to face you. Then look at me, I said. She did, and for a moment I saw the girl who once believed in my sketches, my late nights, my quiet ambition. Then the image faded. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. But I needed you to know I still don't, I interrupted. Some words don't belong here anymore. Tears welled in her eyes. You really don't feel anything? I did, I said. But it's gone. You took it when you left, and I buried what was left when I started over. She nodded slowly, shoulders shaking. You sound so calm. Anger was exhausting, I said. Peace takes less effort, she gave a weak smile. I used to love how you talked like that. And I used to believe it meant something to you. Her breath hitched. I deserve this. It's not punishment, I said. It's reality. She stepped back, wiping her tears. You really moved on. I had to. Is there someone else? There's peace, I said. That's enough. She looked around again, eyes catching the sunlight through the window. You always liked light. It shows the cracks, I said. Make sure you fix them before they spread. Her smile trembled. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Lena. She hesitated at the door, then turned. For what it's worth, you deserved better than me. I found better, I said. Myself. Her eyes filled again, but she nodded and walked out. The sound of her footsteps faded, each one lighter than the last. When the door clicked shut, I stood there for a long time, staring at the chair where she'd sat. No rage. No sadness. Just silence, clean and weightless. Claire's voice broke it moments later. Everything okay? Yes, I said. It finally is, she smiled softly. You look different. I feel different. Closure? Something better, I said. Freedom, Claire stepped closer. Then you're ready for what's next. I think I am. Outside, the city shimmered, bright, alive, untouched by yesterday. I turned away from the door Lena had used and faced the window instead. For the first time, the reflection staring back didn't look haunted. It just looked like me. The church smelled of lilies and new beginnings. The same bells that once tolled for my ruin now rang for redemption. I stood at the altar, hands steady, breath calm. This time there was no tremor in my chest, only peace. Henry leaned closer and whispered, You sure about this, Ethan? I smiled faintly. For the first time in my life, Henry, I'm absolutely sure. He chuckled softly. You sound like a man who's been through hell and came back wiser. I did, I said quietly, eyes fixed on the church doors. And I found heaven waiting. The doors opened. Claire walked in, dressed in white that shimmered softly in the morning light. Every step she took erased another ghost from my past. I could feel the stares, the whispers, the presence of those who once doubted me. But they didn't matter. Not anymore. When she reached me, she smiled. You look calm, she said. I feel calm, I replied. Maybe for the first time. The priest, Father Williams, looked at us with a knowing expression. Strange how time circles back, he said. I was supposed to marry you once before, Ethan. Yeah, I said, my voice steady. But that ceremony wasn't meant to happen. Claire looked between us. You mean... The same priest, I said, meeting her gaze. Same altar. Different ending, Father Williams chuckled softly. God works in mysterious ways, Henry muttered from the side pew, and poetic ones. The guests laughed quietly, easing the air. But beneath that laughter was a weight only I could feel, the ghosts of what once was. I caught a glimpse through the window, Lena standing near the gates, half hidden by the crowd. She looked smaller somehow, fragile. For a moment, I felt the past breathe down my neck. Claire squeezed my hand gently. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, just closing an old door. The ceremony began. Words flowed like a river, blessings, vows, promises. I barely heard them. My mind was somewhere between then and now, remembering how I once stood here with trembling hands, blind love, and false hope. Father Williams smiled at me. Your vows, Ethan. I took a deep breath, meeting Claire's eyes. Sometimes, I began, my voice low but firm, losing everything is how we find what's real. I thought love was about holding on, but I've learned it's about letting go. Of pride, of pain, of the people who aren't meant to stay. You've shown me that strength isn't revenge. It's forgiveness. It's peace. Claire's eyes shimmered. You've rebuilt yourself, she said softly. And somehow rebuilt me too. I didn't rebuild, I said, smiling faintly. I just stopped living in ruins. The priest nodded approvingly. A lesson worth keeping. Claire inhaled, her voice trembling. When I met you, you were broken but brave. You didn't hide your scars. You taught me that love doesn't fix, it accepts. So I vow to walk beside you, through silence or storm, without ever trying to change the man who's already enough, the crowd murmured. Even Henry wiped at his eyes. The priest blessed the rings, then looked between us. By the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Applause filled the church. Claire laughed through her tears as I kissed her, softly, completely, without fear. Outside, sunlight poured across the stone steps. The same city that once watched my fall now witnessed my rise. Cameras flashed, guests cheered, but my eyes drifted again toward the gate. Lena stood there, alone. No diamonds, no arrogance, just quiet sorrow. Our eyes met across the distance. She didn't move closer. Neither did I. There was nothing left to say. She mouthed something. I think it was, I'm sorry. I gave her a small nod, nothing more. For the first time, it didn't hurt. The past no longer held me. Claire tugged at my sleeve. Ready to go? Yeah, I said, turning toward her. Let's go home. As we walked down the steps hand in hand, Father Williams called out behind me, You've come full circle, Ethan. I looked back, smiling. No, Father. I've finally stepped out of it. Henry clapped me on the shoulder. You did it, kid. You actually did it. Not alone, I said. Never again alone. Claire leaned her head on my shoulder as the car pulled up. Do you ever think about her? She asked softly. I looked out the window, watching Lena fade into the crowd. Sometimes, I admitted, but only as a reminder of who I used to be. And who are you now? I smiled. A man who finally stopped fighting the past. The car rolled forward. Bells echoed behind us, carrying fragments of the day into the wind. For once, I didn't look back. The city gleamed ahead, bright, alive, full of promise. I tightened my grip on Claire's hand and whispered, It's strange. The same world that broke me is the one giving me peace, she smiled. Because now you're not running from it. I nodded, watching the skyline blur through sunlight. You're right. I'm not running. I'm home. And as the bells faded behind us, I realized something simple and true. Freedom isn't about forgetting what hurt you. It's about being able to remember without bleeding. That was my redemption. That was my peace. That was the wedding that was meant to be.